Hi everyone, my name is Mayowa and I'm your host on the Six Figure Entrepreneurial Podcast. I'm the founder of the Book Court, a publishing agency that helps busy entrepreneurs write and publish a book that helps them become an instant authority in their niche and field, build more credibility, amplify their reach, and also get more clients for their business. If you have a book idea as a coach, consultant, and thought leader in your space, head straight to thebookcourt.com. That's THEBOOKCOT.com to book a call. And in this episode of the Six Figure Entrepreneur Podcast, I've got an amazing entrepreneur in the house. But before we get the show started, I will pass the mic to him. He will introduce himself, tell us a bit about himself, then we get the show started.
Hi, Maya. Thank you very much for having me on the show. Very excited to be here. My name is Victor Calabrese. I am president of Deskside. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life. My parents were entrepreneurs. I started Deskside about 2017, about 5 years ago. I've had multiple businesses. I'm really excited to talk about, all the different trials, tribulations, how I got here. So that's a little bit about me. Deskside is a IT outsourced company. So we like to coin ourselves as a technology success partner. We help small and medium businesses with all things that are IT. So from buying a laptop to help desk to backup disaster recovery, strategy, everything that a small and medium business would need. We have all the tools of the enterprise suite, only available for the small and medium businesses.
Okay, thank you so much, Victor. We are glad to have you on this show, and we know that you are ready to dish out all the good stuff for us on this interview.
I'm sorry, you broke up that a little bit. Say it again.
Okay, I just said we're happy to have you as a guest on this show, and we are very sure that you will dish to us a lot of good stuff on this interview.
Yes, I'm happy to be on the show as well.
Okay, so to get the show started, can you just give us a bit background into your story? How did you got into this entrepreneurship thing, and how does this get started for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, my parents were both entrepreneurs. My father was in the construction market. My mother was owned a clothing store and travel agency. So early on, I was exposed to just being an entrepreneur. That's all we ever knew. My father was very successful. But I did go through the trials of the ups and downs that entrepreneurs have. So when I got out of college, I decided not to go down the road of owning my own business because I was fearful of the ups and downs. So I started working and I did okay. I was chief information officer for a $55 million a year construction company. Then I became CEO and president of an IT company. But I felt throughout my life that there was something missing. Something inside of me was like, I was doing okay financially, but I wasn't fulfilled. So around 2015 or so, I decided that I was going to do my own thing. I was going to start my own thing, which was kind of tough because I had a family, I had a house, I had all the commitments that came along with adult life. And I decided to take the leap. So I sold my house. I went out on my own. I started at the time one consulting business. Fast forward now to 2022. Deskside started in 2017. In 2022, I now own 4 different businesses, 5 if you include the holding company, and I can never be happier than I am now.
Okay, that's a very, very lovely entrepreneurial story over there. So let me ask you, you mentioned something that you are not fulfilled where you are. So what exactly is fulfillment to you, and what can you describe as fulfillment? And what's the difference between what was happening then when you are not fulfilled and right now when you have your own business and you can tell yourself that you are fulfilled?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it was a struggle for me to figure out what it was, right? Because you go through this journey, you don't really know what a lot of these feelings you're having are. I do understand them now, and back then it wasn't a money thing. I was making money. I was doing very well, but I was making a lot of money for the owners of the companies that I was working for. So that was one thing. But the bigger thing was there was a point in my career where I had reached the pinnacle of an employee. I was running a company as an employee for two owners. The owners were pretty much absent, and I was running that company. And after only a short while, I think it was like a year or so, the two owners came to me and they says, "We're decided to sell the business." And that deflated me. So at that point, I started putting all these things together, all these feelings that I had around how much work I was putting in for someone else, how much I was getting back out of that. And then for it to be taken away from me just because, the owners decided to sell it was a really, really big detrimental moment in my life. And that's when I decided, I said, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to take the risk. I want to try to do this on my own, and no matter what the consequences are, we're going to work through them. And I did it, and I'm still struggling through it. I'm not saying that I'm where I want to be, but the struggle is the part, believe it or not, that it was missing in my life. I enjoy the struggle of building something new.
Okay, that's awesome. The reason why I asked that question is this: for many entrepreneurs out there listening to this out there, surely everybody has a measure of what success is to them. Like I myself, I can relate to your story because in 2012, I actually left my only paid job. And for me, success and fulfillment for me was then the fact that I'm not doing something that is interesting. I'm not doing something that can engage my creativity. And I just have to live. Like everything was monotonous. And I just wanted to do something that can make my pint go blue and can make me very, very happy. So I think one takeaway from this is understand what success and fulfillment is for you and just go down that path. So transitioning from that question, Victor, so present day now, how is your business like, the structure of your business and revenue wise, where exactly are you this year?
Yeah, so now, like I said, there's 5 businesses in total. So we have a family holding company that my wife and I own. And that company owns the other businesses. So we have Desk Side, which is the IT company. That's the one that I focus on the most. We have Consigliere, which is a consulting company that does very high level consulting work. And then we have Goodfellow Ventures, which is just an investment vehicle for my partner and myself to invest in other companies. And then we have my wife's company, which is about 2 years old, called Pretty Teepees. That does sleepover and party events for children. So that's the major structure of the company. Talking specifically of Desk Side, I am the president COO of the company. So I run operations day in and day out of the company. Business partner is the CEO and chairman of the company. But he's really like he comes on the board meetings and that's about it. I run day-to-day operations. That's pretty much the structure of the company.
Okay, what about your revenue, right, for this present year?
So that side will be has grown 40% year over year. We will be breaking through the $1.5–2 million mark this year, on our way to 5 million, because that was a tough hurdle. The other businesses are over $1 million each. And again, all trying to struggle. I think that our goals for each of the businesses is to get them to about $10 million in the next 5 years. So that's where the revenue is.
Okay, that's awesome. You mentioned you juggle between 5 businesses. So one very curious question I want to ask you is, how do you deal with having 5 companies? How do you run them, and is it not a drain on your time? And I'm just curious to know the structure you've put in place to actually run 5 businesses together without going insane.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there's a couple of things that you have to have in place, and the first thing is that each business is its own little kind of it's different, right? Desk Side has a lot of employees. So there's the management structure. There's people that are way smarter than me that are doing the things that they're supposed to be, and I stay out of their way. Something I learned early on in my career is to hire people that are smarter than you and then trust them to do what they're supposed to do. Always check up on them, but trust them to do what they have to do. So that side has a hierarchy. So I have vice presidents, I have managers, and I have technical staff all the way down. I have sales team. So that's easier. There's a lot of responsibilities on me to grow the company. I report to the board of directors on a quarterly basis, and I would say anywhere from 40 hours to 50 hours a week I devote to desk side, physically working. The other side of this whole thing is that Consigliere, for instance, is a consulting company. That one we don't actively sell, so there's not a whole big group of people going out there selling. We have a lot of business. It's really word of mouth. It's a few hours a week whenever we have clientele. I have a client down in Florida. I have a client up in Canada. I have a few clients here in Texas. So that doesn't really take up a lot of our time. Goodfellow Ventures is an investment arm. So what we really do there is financial. So we sit down, my partner and I, on a I would say monthly basis, decide what we're going to invest in and move money around. So that doesn't take up a lot of my time. And then Pretty Teepees, I have my wife. My wife's the CEO of that company. I'm really just on the background helping with the technical stuff, or if she has operational needs, but she's pretty much running that company on her own. So that's how I'm able to do all the things. Really, what takes a lot of time is just checking in on everything and making sure, financially we're in the right spot. We have all the credit, all the finance that we need, the cash in the bank. And that's just a matter of hopping from company to company to company.
Okay, one specific takeaway I can get from what you just said is the importance of having a team where you can delegate tasks and you can just be the supervisor. And I think the reason why I asked that question is because personally, I struggle a lot. I have two businesses, and for me, just for two businesses, it's very, very difficult trying to juggle the two businesses together. So I asked that question specifically for entrepreneurs out there who are struggling with, as entrepreneur, sometimes we are multi-potentialites. Like we have so many interests that we surely want to pursue and explore. So and it can be very hard when you are trying to juggle two things together. But just like you said, kudos to you. You have been able to plug in all those 5 businesses and you are still be able to run well. And I think I must say kudos to you, unlike someone like me who actually find it difficult to juggle two things together. So that is it.
I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. The one thing that really helped me with that side is my administrative assistant. And most people wait way too long to go and hire one. And I have Aileen. She's awesome. I know a bunch of my fellow business owners. I'm part of a group of, it's called Vistage, that we meet once a month, but they go and hire virtual assistants and they are super happy with them. So my recommendation to you is that it's never too early to hire a virtual assistant, and they're not that expensive.
Yeah, sure. I have a virtual assistant, and what I'm actually saying is trying to, I still have to supervise them. And, there is this belief that nobody can actually do what I can do best. But I think that is a very faulty belief, and I'm still trying to work with it. So what I was saying specifically is just at the administrative side of things, not really delegating stuff. It's at supervising two things together and try to still make everything perfect. But thank you so much for that tip. So right now, Victor, I'm a very big fan of gratitude. If you look around you, your peers, your contemporaries, others who do what you do, who do you respect, who do you admire, who is that one person you just want to call out publicly and thank them for being there for you along the way?
Oh, man, I am so blessed in that arena. I early on, I learned that there's got to be 3 people in your life that have 3 different purposes. One should be a spiritual guide, one should be a family guide, and one should be a business guide. And I'm lucky enough to have multiples in each one of them. Mike, which is my business partner and best friend, he's awesome. He's taught me so much. He continues to teach me so much. He keeps me on the straight and narrow. Obviously, my father is an awesome influence in my life. I talk to him weekly. His ability to give me all the trials and tribulations he went through, and to try to get out of doing the same mistakes and trying to fast forward, he's been invaluable. But my lovely wife, she's the most supportive person in my life. And then I have this group. I mean, I have a group of 20 business owners that I meet on a monthly basis in my Vistage group, which is invaluable. We bring problems to the table. We work together to try to solve those problems. If I have an issue, working through COVID was a major undertaking for every business out there. And having those resources there was a blessing. So I'm very blessed in that arena as far as having people there.
Okay, awesome. So Victor, I would just want you to do one thing just right after this interview. Go send everybody, every amazing person you've mentioned right now, go send them an email or maybe just shoot them a text message and just tell them I was interviewed on the Six Figure Entrepreneur podcast and it will be live soon. I acknowledge you and how wonderful you have been. I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we'll definitely do.
Okay, awesome. So transitioning now to my favorite part of the podcast where I have to throw some questions at Victor and he will get back to me with answers as quick as possible. Victor, are you prepared?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. What is one book that you will recommend to entrepreneurs out there listening to this podcast?
Oh, the best business book that I love is The Great Game of Business. Fantastic book. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. What is one book or course that you have read or invested in that changed your life? What do you learn from that and how did it change your life?
A book on what? I'm sorry.
A book or a course.
Oh, a book or course that changed my life. Oh man, so I'm an avid reader. I go through 2 books a month. I guess. You know what the one that I would say is EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. The book is Traction. I've done many courses in it, but what that gives you is a framework on how to run and measure your company's success. So it gives you different tool sets of how you're supposed to run your company, how you're supposed to run meetings, how you're supposed to measure the effectiveness of everything you're putting into place. So I think the EOS system is probably the one that has given me the biggest value. And the name of the book is Traction by I think it's Mark Winters, if I remember correctly.
Okay, all right. Every book and every resources that Victor mentioned on this show, you can find it at www.thesixfigureentrepreneur.com. So right now, what is one thing that you did that got you a very big win in business?
Quitting my job. So that one day where I said I've had enough, and it guys, let me tell you, it was painful. It was not an easy decision. Selling your home and going from a lifestyle where you could pretty much go on vacation twice a year and buy whatever you want, to putting all that money into growing something that you don't know if it's going to make it or not was painful. But that was the biggest thing, is just getting over the fear and saying, I'm not going to fail. I'm going to make this happen no matter what, was the thing that changed my life. I mean, it really did.
Okay. All right. Victor, I've said it all because I can actually relate with what you said. It took me 2 years to actually make a single dime online after I left my job. And it was a very painful and a very emotional time for me. I've talked about it in the first episode for this podcast. But, then I was very, very determined. And though it was painful, I only kept looking at the goal. And that was what really got me on it. So just like you said, it was an emotionally decision, and it was an emotional time. But right now, if I look back, I will surely be grateful from now to tomorrow for that single decision. That sounds crazy then. So just like Victor have said, that is one very big thing that he did that got him a very big win in business. So Victor, everybody has got a superpower. So for you, what is that one superpower that you have got that has helped you win in business?
Oh, I measure everything. So I have scorecards for every aspect of my business, and the scorecards are individual. So every single employee of mine has their own scorecards with their metrics that we're measuring. Then each department has a scorecard that those individual scorecards feed into. And then the company has a scorecard that I use to report to the board of directors. But learning to measure things and learning to measure the right things, and then putting bonus programs together and raises and all the things that normal people do on emotion, but with these metrics in place, has been invaluable to be able to grow the business, to be able to retain staff, to keep staff engaged. So yeah, I measure everything.
Okay, I think that is a very, very unique and very smart one. Being able to measure everything for you to understand what is working and what is not working. So thank you for that. It's a very rare one, I must say. I've asked a lot of entrepreneurs on this podcast that same question, and I think that is very, very unique. So speaking of superpowers, you've got a superpower. You know how you can measure things for you to know what is working. What is that one thing or one area that you have been struggling with in business?
You know, the one thing that I've struggled since the beginning, and I continue to struggle, and as I talk to my fellow entrepreneurs, they tell me it's normal, is that business is 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. That's just the nature of the beast. There's sometimes where you have a moment of luck and you increase the business dramatically and you take 6, 7 steps forward. But the reality of the situation is most businesses, that's just the way it is, that there is almost as much backward movement and there is forward movement, whether that's because your training processes are incorrect or some SOPs are in place, you don't have the right people on the right bus, you don't have the right people hired. There's always something that you have to fix. And coming to terms with that and accepting that there's going to be these little failures is really tough on me, because I don't like to fail, although I say that, you know, failure is normal for anyone that's trying to do anything. So that's really where it says just being comfortable with taking those 3 steps forward, as long as you're moving forward at the end, right? And you're not doing 3 steps back and 2 steps forward. You want to be doing 3 steps forward, and even in 1 or 2 steps back is okay.
Okay, yeah, you are very correct. I think I just sum it up like that business is kind of a zigzag. Sometimes you zig and sometimes you have to zag. So yep. Right on point. So what is one thing that you are working on right now that you are excited about beyond your business?
A bunch of stuff. We're getting to the point we want to build our own house. That's a real big personal goal of mine. We're hoping that will happen soon. So that's really fun. And then everything else is my kids, you know, raising them and making sure that they have everything they need is something that I get a lot of pleasure from.
Okay, that's awesome. So talking about something outside of business and something personal. So outside of business, who is you?
So who's Victor?
Yeah.
Victor is a continuous learner. I actually love to learn. Like I said, I read at least a book a month. I'm listening to multiple podcasts. I love the idea of podcasts. I'm part of many business groups. I also am a big fitness and nutrition and mental health person. I'm actually writing a book. That's one of the things that I'm doing on the side. You know, as a hobby in my free time, right? I've actually got the book done, and it's based around accessing your true potential. And it has all these different things that I've learned over the years as to how someone can actually get to their best self. So obviously I read a lot, I learn a lot, and that's and I like to teach. That's the other thing, because I love doing these podcasts. I love helping people. In fact, you know, one of the gifts I want to give to your audience is if you have any technology struggles that you have, please reach out to me. I would love to help you free of charge. There's no salesy things here. I just enjoy helping people.
Okay, that's awesome. So you mentioned your book, and as a book coach, I love to just know about. I love entrepreneurs writing books because based on what I've seen in my years of experience helping entrepreneurs write and publish a book is a very good business card. So can you just tell us, why did you decide to write a book, and what exactly is that your book? What is it for? What is your objective and goal for writing your book?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So the reason I decided to write it was because I spent a lot of my life reading. And I use Audible too. So some people are auditory. I enjoy reading and listening to books. But in that time, one day I was looking through all the books that I've read on different subjects, you know, some business subjects, some fitness, some nutrition, some mental stuff, some meditation stuff. So all this different stuff. And I came to the conclusion that I learned a little bit from each book. Some books were terrible. I didn't finish them. They just, you know, didn't serve a purpose. But there was other books that I learned a little and I learned a little and I learned a little. And I said, you know what? Putting all this information together into something that someone can read one book and say, these are the things I need to do in order to get to my true self. And that's why I decided to write the book. And it started with just an outline. I remember sitting there at my desk one day and I just started drawing and I started drawing the outline of all the things, because the book is based around 4 wheels of success. And then there's 6 pillars that support the wheels. So some wheels have 2 pillars and some wheels have 1 pillar, but these things are different items that you need in your life for different things, you know, spirituality, health, nutrition, all these things. You bring them together, and as you get that stuff in your life and you have repetition in those things, like you go to the gym 3 times a week, you make sure your diet is 80% good and 20% do whatever you want. Those sort of things, you start putting those things in your life and you'll see you start accessing your true potential. So I started writing it based on that little chart that I put together. I finished the book. It took me about 2 years to get to where it is now. And now I just got to go back and put in all the stories around the different things that I've learned. And then I'll get it out there and hopefully get it published.
All right, that's awesome. And just to chip this in, Victor, just feel free to reach out to me if there is any help I can offer towards publishing and distributing your book and every other good stuff like that. Because personally, I love books, and this is what I've been doing right from 2014 when I started my business AutoScript. Before I started the book course, where I actually focused on helping entrepreneurs instead of the general publishing market. So, and one thing I always love about a book is, just like you mentioned, you've read a lot of book and you've aggregated a lot of knowledge, and your book is a tool where you can just pack all the knowledge that you have got, all the experiences you have got, package it together, and also your expertise as well, so that someone out there and across the world, a book can fly out across the world, you might never know, and someone can easily take that book and just dive in and consume all the experiences that you have had for couples of years. So very awesome project you are working on. I wish you good luck with your book. So when should we be expecting your book out?
I think next year. I definitely need help, and I will take you up on your offer.
Yeah, sure.
Talk after the podcast. But yeah, absolutely. It's grueling. Like if people are out there, and I don't want to detract anyone from actually writing a book, because it is a fulfilling experience. But I mean, you know this, it is a grueling undertaking. You have to have a lot of willpower to sit there and write it, and because it's not something that you can do in a few weeks or a few months. It's something that you have to really devote X amount of time for the indefinite future. Until you get to the point where you like it. And even when you get to the point where you like it, there's going to be little touches and little details that need to be done in order for it to actually become that book that people will want to buy. You know, it's a struggle, but I'm hoping by next year, because now I'm down to devoting probably an hour or 2 a week to writing the book. So I'm hoping that, yeah, next year, 2023, maybe March or April of next year, we'll get it out there.
All right, we'll look forward to that. And one thing I have to add to what you said, just like you said, it took you 2 years to write your book, but let me just give a shameless plug because of what I do. Actually, there are proven processes where you can write your book within few months. It doesn't have to take that long, and just like you said, it can be a very grueling experience and a very long one at that. But you know, when you have someone at hand who can really guide you through the process, it's a very, very loving experience, and I do that all the time. So excuse me for that. It's a very shameless plugging, but I'm proud of what I do, and we are surely looking forward to having your book next year. So before we say goodbye on this episode, and before you tell us where we can connect with you, can you give us your best tip for entrepreneurs out there listening to this episode?
Yeah, never stop learning. That's the best tip I can give anybody. When you think you know it all, go find something else, because there's something else to learn. And you know, I learned from different ways. The best one for me is to become part of a CEO group like Vistage. That is probably the one that's accelerated my growth more than anything else.
Okay, you've heard it all from Victor. Victor, where can we find you online? Where can we connect with you? And where can we know more about you online?
Yeah, I'm pretty big on social media. So you could find me as Victor or Vittorio Calabrese on LinkedIn, on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. And you can always find Deskside on the same channels as Deskside or Deskside TSP. And again, the place I look at the most is LinkedIn. So you could find me on LinkedIn, and please feel free to reach out if there's anything I can do for you.
Okay, awesome. Every resources, every link, and every website that Victor mentioned in this episode can be found at the www.the6figureentrepreneur.com. Just head straight there and just search for Victor, and you will get the show note to this episode. So thank you so much, Victor, for jumping on this call with me, and thank you for sharing your entrepreneurial journey. It's been a very awesome few minutes spending time with you, and we celebrate you for keeping the entrepreneurial fire burning. Thank you so much for all you do, and always don't stop doing what you do, because there are a lot of people out there who are looking forward to this story, who want to have this kind of story, and I think it's an inspiration for many people out there. And that is exactly why I started this podcast, to share entrepreneurs doing good and to come and share their story, so that they can inspire and motivate someone out there who might maybe giving up, or maybe are on the verge of giving up. So thank you once again for Victor. And I know next time if you call you, you will surely jump on this call with us to have another awesome time like this.
Thank you, Mayowa. This was awesome. Thank you for what you do, because I do agree. It's podcasts like this that give people a little bit of what they need to get to the next level.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we'll catch you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Yeah, Victor, thanks so much. I've had a lot of fun. It's been we are very lovely guest, and I must say this, like this week alone, I've talked to more than 10 awesome entrepreneurs, but I think your energy is something I really connect well with. And I have to say that, because I always like to express myself. You are an awesome guest, I must say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I love your podcast, by the way. So keep doing what you're doing. And if you ever want me back, let me know. I'm there to help. But let's connect on a different day, and we can talk about the book.
Okay, you can. I can send my calendar link to you, and you can book a time to have this call. I would love surely to offer my best advice on your book, and to see what I can chip in, and how I can be of help to get it published and to get it out sooner than next year, probably, that you plan on.
Yeah, I am a big believer in everything happening for a reason. So yeah, let's do that. Send out the calendar. Let's talk.
Okay.
Because I do want to get this book out, but I also do realize that I do need help, because I don't know what I'm doing with 100. I've never published a book.
Yeah, I understand. Like I'm looking forward to that, and I can tell you, and I can show you that you can get that book published even earlier than that, even maybe the next few months, if we can really just put some things together and just strategize and do the right thing with that book.
All right, let's do it, man. Send it over. I'm super excited.
Okay, I'll send a mail to you right after this. And thank you so much once again. Have a lovely day. And my regards to your wife, and my regards to your partner, and everybody out there on your side. So it's been a lovely time for me once again. I'm signing up to say thank you. I surely love gratitude. I believe that for you to spend your time with me. It means a lot to me because you can do something else. You can ignore this guy who just who just asking you to jump on a call from the blue moon. But I have to say thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.
You bye.